browser. So how it is going to communicate it to our application. From the application, how the data is going to store into the database. So everything we are going to discuss inside this particular web here. Okay, so inside the web, we have a different types of concepts we need to discuss one by one, how it is going to work internally. And after this, now what we will do, we'll move on to this particular dependency injection. Sorry, this is Spring Boot related concepts. So up to this, we'll try to discuss about the Spring. So any questions? Any questions on the Spring? Okay. So now we'll try to discuss about the Spring Boot here. Spring Boot, basically, it is an advanced concept based on this particular Spring. So we'll discuss what are the drawbacks we have inside this particular Spring. So why they introduced the Spring Boot here. So most of the cases in the Spring, only the major drawback here, configurations here. What are the application we are going to develop here? First, we need to configure. The configuration is going to take a lot of time because the Spring, we need to add a lot of dependencies here. Dependencies basically, so one application, it is going to depends on the other application. So those applications we are going to use as a jars here. So if you miss any one of the version, so the application is not going to run. Okay, this is the main drawbacks we are going to get from the Spring framework. And to resolve this particular drawback here, Spring Boot is introduced. Get in the pen. So using this particular Spring Boot, we are not going to focus more on the configuration part, and we are going to focus more on the business logic. Getting the pen. So once we integrate, like once we start this particular Spring Boot application, we'll try to focus more onto the developing the application, not on the configuring the application. So the configuration mainly, so it's not going to take much time. Once the configuration is completed, we'll try to focus more on the, like what kind of the business we are going to develop here. Getting the pen. So this is the main advantage we are going to get from this particular Spring Boot. So inside the Spring Boot, we have a different features we have. So we'll try to cover up the features, how it is going to work. Now you can see, first we'll understand the requirement of this particular Spring Boot. What are the requirement we need to develop the Spring Boot related application? And after this, we'll try to cover up the first application, how we can run the Spring Boot application. We have a different types of application, like the types of we can run the application, like command prompt we can run, and any IDE we can run here. So otherwise we can run from the jar here. So we have a different types. We are going to use one by one how we can run here. Okay, and after this we'll try to discuss about this particular build system. So here either we are going to discuss about the Maven or Gradle to build our applications by specifying the required dependencies here. And after this, we are going to discuss about so what exactly this particular Spring Boot annotation it is going to work internally. So what are the different annotations they are integrated internally when they are trying to implement this particular Spring Boot annotations here. And after this, we'll try to discuss about some of the features here, like something like a developer tool. So how we can run the automatic restarting, and we'll try to see the method injection, how it is going to work internally inside this particular Spring Boot here. Okay, now you can see the Spring Boot, basically most of the stuff automatically it is going to provide by the Spring Boot here. But when we are trying to develop the Spring related application, as a developer, we need to write all the code. If you miss anything, the application is going to stop. It will not run. So we need to resolve the particular exception, then only the application will run. So in the Spring Boot, the dependencies, like what are the dependence versions we are going to use, automatically it is going to download it. So no need to worry about the dependency section. So this is the advantage we are going to get from this particular Spring Boot here. So as I explained here, we have some different types of features we are going to discuss. These features not available under the Spring framework here. Okay, now these are all the logging related frameworks. So logging, basically how we are going to use. So first one, we are going to discuss about the property file, and later we'll try to discuss about the logging is a different framework, and log format, and log back. We have three different logging frameworks we are going to use here to print the output. Like for example, if we develop the application, whatever the classes and method you are implemented, the methods and classes are executed or what kind of the data we are storing into the database, how we are going to identify. In our real-time applications, we are going to use the logging framework. So with help of this particular logging frameworks only, we are going to debug our application. So why the application is stopped and what are the issues we have in our application. So those information we are going to identify the logging framework. Okay, this is the logging framework is important. And here, so this section will discuss language conversion. Internalization is nothing but one language into another language. If we want to convert the messages, we are going to use this particular sections here. Now, if I want to convert English to France or English to Germany, any other country languages, we are going to use this particular internalization. So the messages are going to convert it into the particular country code here. Okay, so this is the internalization we are going to use, and JSON here. So JSON basically, whenever we are trying to integrating two applications here, this particular format we are going to use it to store the data into the each and every application here, because one application to another application, we are going to pass the data here. So the particular data, we are going to make the format inside this particular JSON here. So we'll see how this particular JSON it is going to work internally, and what are the annotations we need to use whenever we are trying to converting our Java object into this particular JSON format here. And so this same thing, we try to discuss about the Spring related concept with help of this particular Spring Boot, how we can implement this particular sections, the connecting the databases here. We have a different types of databases we can connect, as explained. You can see the DDBT template, or you can work with the Hibernate, and otherwise we can move on to the NoSQL databases like MongoDB or the DynamoDB, how we can integrate with this particular Spring Boot here. Okay, each and every concept we are going to discuss with help of this particular web applications here. And finally, we are going to discuss about this particular web services. These are all the important section we need to understand here. The REST template is very important concept here. This REST template only, it is going to provide the information communicating the multiple applications. So for example, what are the different applications we are going to have here? Here, so this is one application one, and this is the application two. So from application one, now what I will do, application two, I'm going to communicate. This over the network communication is just going to happen with help of this particular REST template here. The REST template is going to play important role to convert the one data type into one object into the another object. For example, here I'm trying to create